Welcome. I'm Electra Porzel. I am the director of the Language of Consciousness Institute, as well as I am a spiritual mentor in my own work. What I wanted to talk about today was conversations. And I'm not talking about the everyday, what's going on around in the family, in the community, or how are you conversations. I'm talking about ones where we start sharing our perceptions, our perspectives, our fascinations with life, with new ideas. When I was thinking about preparing for this, I remembered how much my father loved new ideas, and he would get so excited, and he'd take time at the family dinner table. He would capture you at parties to talk about this new idea that was so fascinating to him. And while as a kid, I didn't really comprehend the fullness of the ideas he was talking about, I did remember the enthusiasm. And that's the picture of him that I hold in my heart. And I'm going like, okay, that's what I'm after, or that's what I'm experiencing now when I'm in conversation with other people about new ideas or, a new information. Right now, I'm leading two groups, discussion groups, I call them, but they're conversations like this. One is on Sand Talk by Tyson Yunkaporta, and the other is on some of what Charles Einstein calls the next stories. And the idea behind these conversations, when I set them up, was that we would read the material and that we would share our own perspectives about it. What did it mean to us? What would it mean if we adopted that way or that idea? If more of humanity practiced it? And so you get it's like I know I always go back to the five blind men, but it's like the five blind men continue to move around the elephant and discover each a different aspect of what it is, what an elephant is. And so we do that with the Sand Talk book, and we do it with Next Stories. And in these conversations, there isn't a right perception. There isn't a right experience. It's a sharing. And so we all continue to be fascinated in the process of seeing how some of those next stories are already playing out in how parts of the population are functioning. And it's also how some of the practices of the Australian Aborigines would connect us better to land, to nature, and to each other in a way that right now the Western society, particularly in the United States, has gotten in trouble. There's a polarization and a not listening that's going on that is not conducive to creating a new sustainable future. And that's what I'm after. But first of all, I'm after conversation. I think if we all continue to be fascinated with each other's ideas and experiences and perspectives, the more norms we discover. The more we discover what we have in common, the more we are stimulated to continue the effort to create a better future for our children, for all children. So the generations coming everyone is respected for their unique and essential gifts. And I've talked about that in other YouTubes. So my belief is that each of us comes into this earth with unique and essential gifts. And sometimes those we're not supported in what those are. Sometimes we are. Sometimes people just have a persistence to make sure that the gift that they want to give is completed, and others are sometimes stymied in that process. I think the beginning of us all is honoring of the experience and perceptions of each of us. Because in your own knowing, in your own awareness, when that is honored, then all of a sudden you kind of get a little like, oh, okay, I don't have to agree with everybody, but I also don't have to dominate everybody. And it creates a very different working relationship or living relationship or creating relationship than it would if each of us said, well, this is my opinion and that's how it's got to be, despite anybody else's perspective. When we create together, we create something that works for everyone. We make sure that all voices are heard, and we make sure that those who don't have a voice get a voice. And I know it's something that we have done before, and many people are practicing it now, and they're all their small corners of the world or their life. And I'd love it if it became the way that we as a nation, I'm in the United States, that we as people were with each other in an honesty that allowed what is truth, what is real, to come to the surface. Conversations, I've been part of conversations over the years. We used to have an event called a Template Wisdom Gathering. And the initial impetus for that gathering was that people were practicing writing their creation exercises from the language of creation. And we would come together on a monthly basis to kind of discuss our perceptions, our experiences, and get some advice if we were going like, I'm not getting this, I need some help. Well, that continued for 6 years. And in those last years, it was really a sharing of our experiences and our perceptions and our perspectives. And it was deep and it was beautiful. It was always only a small group of people that met. And yet, what it did for each of us was really make us more aware of how we were, how our life was shifting by writing the creation exercises, how our knowings of the deeper levels of living happened because we wrote the creation exercises. Now, the creation exercises are probably our best bet as a people to really be able to define what we crave in the world and and it's the best, they're the best way to get ourselves out of like the old looping thoughts and looping emotions. At least the best way I've ever discovered. And in that learning to write the creation exercises where you step back and you go, wow, that's what's behind, when you get to the embodies phrase, that's what's behind what I want and crave. In that awareness, we become more aware of our larger being, our larger self, and of the sovereignty of our own unique and essential nature. And in that, there starts an internal vibration of our personal truth that is life enhancing and life generating. Because that's the basis of the structure of the language of creation. You follow the structure of the templates, and it always has to be phraseologies of your own that are life enhancing and life generating. So you start stimulating a field that you're in with phraseologies that define deeper and more specifically what it is you're after in the world. That process brings our mind aware and out of the everyday, I'm living my life perspective to, wow, what more is going on? What's more going on with me? And oh my God, these other people are experiencing the same kind of depth realizations of their own nature that I am. And then you get to share what that looks like, what that feels like, and how that's impacting your life. Now, aren't doing those conversations, those monthly conversations this year, but we will. Starting in the fall, we're going back to that process. So, we all need ways to rise above the humdrum of our lives, to see beyond and deeper into who we are and what are we to be and do in the world. Conversations that I'm talking about are one of those tools. The templates of the language of creation are also a vital tool in this process, because we each, there's a spirals of life, right? And we each are moving on that spiral. And as we come to a new spiral, a new level of the spiral, we need support and can use support in our fascination, in paying attention and gaining evidence for how our life is different. The templates do that. The conversations do that. And in the conversation, I become aware of a new knowing of my own. The others become aware of the new knowing of their own. And we also share resources back and forth. So suddenly we have not just the Sandtalk book or just the Next Story book or just the templates, the writing of the templates. We have our own new viewpoint, and we get to know all the other ways that this material, these ideas can be experienced and are being played with in the world. So there's the path to our own enlightenment, the path to our own embodiment of our larger being, I believe, is through conversation. And I believe the creation exercises are vital tools to help in that process, that I can experience being moved beyond my surface mind into my deeper mind or my larger mind. The reason I bring up mind is that we are about the larger consciousness and getting you used to the larger mind that you carry. You are a fascinating creature, and I would love to get to know you. And I'd love you to get to know the deeper parts of yourself. And so I invite you to enjoy our Sandtalk and Charles to join them, those conversations. I invite you to learn more about the creation exercises by going to our website, which is Language of Consciousness Institute at www.loc-institute.com, and look at what's there. Be fascinated and join us in conversation to see how your own experience of the world can be wider and deeper and higher than you ever thought before. Take good care, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.